Hello viewers, Whidbey Ben here. On November 29, 2022, a freak rogue wave hit the Viking Polaris, killing one passenger and injuring several others. The ship spent 2 weeks in Punta Arenas undergoing emergency repairs. In December 2022, we were on board for her first cruise following the fatal accident. What was it like? Well, come see for yourself. Let's start with an overview of the planned itinerary. Most Viking Polaris Antarctica explorers start their journeys in North America. Dallas-Fort Worth and Miami are the two main hubs for air travel to the Viking Polaris. It is usually an overnight flight into the international airport in Buenos Aires. This is situated about 1 hour outside of downtown Buenos Aires. Most guests are put up at the Hilton Buenos Aires, which is located on the historic Harbor District in downtown Buenos Aires. If you have no problems with flight connections, most passengers will have some time to walk around and explore the historic Harborfront District. The next leg of the trip begins in the wee hours of the morning with a charter flight from the domestic airport, which is only a 15-minute drive from the Hilton. This was a 3.5-hour flight on a no-frills jet, but because it was chartered by Viking, it was our first chance to get to meet our new Viking family. Passengers get a brief bus tour of Ushuaia on the way to the Viking Polaris, which is docked at the main city pier. This is within walking distance to the main tourist shopping areas of Ushuaia. Of course, all of this was contingent upon making all your flight connections. For two members of our party, Tom and Sierra, flying out of Chicago, their travel experience was quite different. Viking Air had booked Sierra and Tom's flight out of Chicago to Miami with a 1-hour connection window to the Buenos Aires flight. Unfortunately, the Chicago flight was delayed by over 2 hours. They were rebooked on a flight from Chicago to Dallas-Fort Worth, where they would have a 45-minute connection window to the Buenos Aires flight. But that flight got stuck on the runway for a half hour being de-iced. They missed their connection to the Buenos Aires flight by 5 minutes. The two planes literally passed each other on the taxiways. There were no flights out of Dallas that could possibly make the connecting charter flights to Ushuaia. Viking Air determined that it would be impossible for Sierra and Tom to make the cruise. They were booked on a return flight to Chicago. Sierra and Tom refused to accept defeat. They scoured flight schedules on the internet. They discovered that they could fly from Dallas to Miami. Then they could catch a flight from Miami to Lima, Peru, and then from Lima, Peru to Buenos Aires, arriving a half hour before the charter flight. But their flight was arriving at the international airport. This was more than an hour away from the domestic airport. There was no way they could make that charter flight. But drawing on boundless resourcefulness, they found a flight that could take them to El Calafate, and then a connecting flight from there to Ushuaia. They were shuttled directly to the ship, where they were met by the captain and members of the expedition team. Tom and Sierra's Odyssey would soon become legend amongst the crew and passengers. The ship pushes off at 5 p.m. and heads out the Beagle Channel, which straddles Argentina and Chile, beginning its Antarctica expedition journey. The ship's expedition staff works with the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, which coordinates the operations of commercial tour ships throughout Antarctica. This ensures that no landing site or cruising area will be overrun with tourists at any one time, and that local resources are not strained beyond sustainability levels. Tour operators submit itineraries in advance, but Antarctica itself has the final say on where adventurers can go, what they can see, and what they do. We arrive in Antarctica tomorrow morning, and in order to prepare for our first arrival, there are a lot of preliminaries to be taken care of. First thing this morning, we had to go down and be tested on our transfers from the Zodiacs into the kayaks. And then we had to gather up all of our outer layer gear to be biosecurity tested. So they're looking through all of the zippers and Velcro, vacuuming out any seeds to make sure we don't introduce any invasive species to Antarctica. Then we also got fitted with our expedition gear. This includes waterproof pants. These are by Helly Hansen. And we have a nice Viking branded parka. We have a nice outer parka, and it's got an insulating inner shell. As part of our expedition fare, this we can take home as a souvenir. So we'll have a nice Viking branded parka with the inner liner. I suppose it's good advertising for them. The waterproof pants stay with the ship, and also some boots that they fitted us with. These are our landing boots. They're waterproof and they come to just below the knee. So the key to safe transfers into and out of the kayaks is a low center of gravity and not using the seat back as a handle. Our original itinerary called for us to visit Fournier Bay on Anvers Island December 19th. This is in the Palmer Archipelago in the northwest Danco coast of the Antarctic Peninsula. This is at 64 degrees 31 minutes south latitude. Alright, we're waiting to get loaded up on the Zodiacs. The crew actually goes through and checks everybody's buckles and straps to make sure everybody's safe to go. And we're about to load up. Okay, we're on our way in the Zodiac, our first Zodiac tour.
Welcome on board, everyone.
Glad to be here.
I'm Jessica, driver and guide. We have today a friend.
Hello. Antarctica was welcoming and cooperative for our first day. All scheduled activities, including submarine dives, kayaking, Zodiac cruises, and the SOB, were all operating today. Today felt a little like a dress rehearsal for the rest of the trip. We had to practice layering all our clothing layers, managing all of our photographic gear, and managing the transfers off and back onto the ship. Having ideal weather and sea conditions was perfect for our first day. We felt comfortable and excited after completion of our first day's excursions. In the afternoon, the ship moved to the south end of Breakwater Island, where we rendezvoused with our sister ship, the Octantis. There's our sister ship, the Viking Octantis. We've got a lot of the crew on the bow here, as well as lots of passengers just having fun. At the daily briefing, we learned that we had a very special guest on board, none other than Torsten Hagen on his first vacation in 20 years. Or perhaps he was on board just to prove to the rest of the world that the Viking Polaris was perfectly seaworthy. On December 20th, we visited a Gentoo penguin colony at Breakwater Island on the east side of Wanakee Island along the Gerlache Strait. Sea ice conditions canceled our submarine dive. Alright, we're headed for our first landing in Antarctica. Oh, there's penguins right in front of the boat here. The penguins are using the same landing.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Breakwater Island. We are going to help you to get off in just a second. You can climb up the stairs that we built for you. For those of you that would choose not to do these steps, we can also offer you another flat landing. Of course, you're not going to go up and high and see the penguin colony, but you will get the opportunity to see penguins. Okay, so you choose which one you want to do. For those intrepids that would like to go on this little walk, there is a free roaming area with a lot of crosses. Cross means do not go beyond that cross. Your time to be back here is at 25 minutes past 3. 25 minutes past 3 is the last boat. Okay? So come as high as you can and you swing your legs towards the driver. So 25 minutes after 3, plenty of time. This is a very small colony and area.
All right, we are on the ground in Antarctica. Well, here's the Penguin Highway. Here's a couple commuters headed home. A little bit of work getting up these hills. Everybody in the pool. That afternoon, we were fortunate enough to encounter a large pod of orca whales in the Gerlache Strait. On December 21st, we were to land on the Antarctic peninsular mainland at Argentinian Base Brown in Paradise Bay. However, sea ice conditions prevented Zodiac landings and submarine dives.
Enjoy
Thank you, Joe.
You see?
Mind the gap, sir. Mind the gap. Hold on.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Please seat as far forward as possible.
All right, we made it on the SOB.
I say nothing. Put them on if you need them.
And we have cast it off.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Excellent. So, well, yeah, 11 o'clock. We have some penguins resting on the ice. We're going to try to find some whales, of course, but that's never guaranteed.
Over there.
Paradise Bay was chosen by the Argentinians to become the now, Junta penguins, they are avid swimmers. They are like torpedoes underwater. Real torpedoes. Zodiacs, and that's why we are allowed to approach a bit more with this kind of vessels and not so much with the Zodiacs. Molten on top means it was on the water.
We can really hear the ice hitting the hull as we work our way closer to Base Brown.
And Mr. Daniel Arsenault, along with his son, he skillfully, patiently brought us. Yes, indeed, that's a mother animal. Mother is now into the tail. And look, now.
Oh, nice, nice.
A Zodiac landing and hike up to a penguin colony on a saddle ridge overlooking Orne Harbor, also on the Antarctic peninsular mainland, was scheduled on December 22nd, but sea ice and wind conditions canceled the Zodiac landings, submarine dives, and kayaking excursions.
We don't have a set route, but what's probably going to happen is we'll go show you the landing site and show you why we didn't land today. There's a lot of ice in between us and where we're supposed to actually land, which is impossible. Ice does not like the propellers on these, it just breaks them and kills them. So yeah.
Antarctica decided to show us her churlish side in Orne Harbor. The sleet, snow, rain, and wind proved challenging.
That's the landing spot. With all that ice in between us and it.
And you gotta swim a little bit today.
And then it would have been a little bit late anyway because we would have had to put steps in because the snow's receded so much.
The snow has receded so much?
Usually they colonize somewhere where they know there's a great amount of food for and stuff. And safety too. They like trying to be up. There's not one where it's like, oh, there's always seals here, always seals here. No. But it's been uncommon not to see more seals than we have.
My name is Dennis. Together we're gonna go and have some fun, right?
In the afternoon, we left Orne Harbor and crossed the Gurlas Strait. We had lunch entertained by a very large pod of humpback whales. They put on quite an amazing show for us. On December 23rd, we successfully made a landing to visit penguin colonies and a research hut at Damoy Point on Wainiki Island, but wind canceled kayak excursions. We did complete a submarine dive there.
Number 3.
Dive buddies.
That's right.
Up close and personal.
Everybody's happy, nobody's changed their mind. They want to go back home to the warm and cozy stateroom.
Heck no.
Go down.
We're going down.
Upside ring. So now we'll push this button over here. We will release the air from the diving tanks and we will start diving. we are still afloat because we are always a little bit positive. And that will thrust us down. When we go to 10 meters, I will then turn you out so you can see something more fun than me.
Periscope death.
You see that your jackets are getting a little bit more purple color.
Wow.
Topside, Ringo. The purple color is because the light waves that creates the red color, they get filtered out by the water. So that's why we cannot see red in depth that we are now. I'll turn you out. Watch your feet.
So our fishing lures are definitely a different color when we see them in the store as opposed to what the fish see down below.
Exactly. Watch your feet there.
We're over 120 feet down now already.
Plankton and other small stuff.
200 feet. Oh, I see bottom.
So everything you see is 30% larger than what it appears like. It's like being inside a reverse magnifying glass.
There's a couple sea stars over there. Hey, there's a fish. There's a fish coming on the side here. Oh, it's a penguin. Penguin.
Oh. Yeah, it's a gentoo.
That's actually the first time I've seen a penguin.
Really?
Diving. Yeah, I've seen them on the surface before, but only just flashes by.
There he goes again.
Now we're 3 meters from the surface. There is an ice, we just flash it away.
And our periscope is up.
Periscope is up, please. Lower the back. Time it a little bit with the waves.
Okay.
You go down here. There you go. And you take my colleague's hand. This one the rampers are.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes, that's it. Thank you so much. So you still have landings today?
Say farewell to our yellow submarine. Well, we made it on to the yellow submarine. We're headed in. We followed our submarine dive with a Zodiac landing at Damoy Point. On Christmas Eve, December 24th, we were successful in making landings at Half Moon Island in the South Shetland Islands. This was at 62 degrees 35 minutes south latitude. This is Half Moon Island. The Argentinians have a scientific research station here. There's some kelp gulls down on the water. There's our ship. And out on this point is a large colony of chinstrap penguins. We heard an explosion echoing across the water and turned around to see this. An iceberg flipping over.
Oh, it's flipping. I'm finally getting to see it. I've been waiting for this all week.
Some of the rocks in Antarctica are amongst the world's oldest. These basalts are estimated to be 4 billion years old.
Left-hand side and move slowly along the beach. As I said, they show the elephant services.
On December 25th, Christmas Day, a full spectrum of activities were scheduled for President's Head, but sea and wind conditions would have made landings impossible. The expedition staff and ship's captain explored the possibility of substituting the HO Islands for President's Head. But the weather system developed into a more sinister pattern which threatened to close the Drake Passage for several days. A decision was made to outrun the incoming storm. The Viking Polaris and her sister ship, the Octantis, raced north across the Drake Passage. We did have one more important task to complete, and that was to launch a weather balloon for NOAA.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Woo! Off she goes!
The northbound Drake Passage crossing gave us time to relax, use the spa, and even take care of our laundry. Another feature on these Viking expedition ships is a laundrette, which is complimentary to use. The Viking Polaris and her sister ship, the Octantis, scrambled north across the Drake Passage to the safety of the Beagle Channel before the worst of the weather arrived. This also forced us to skip scenic cruising around Cape Horn. We arrived in Ushuaia 2 days early. We spent the first day at anchor in the harbor, tendering ashore for a bus tour of Tierra del Fuego National Park as our last official excursion. After tendering back onto the ship, we packed our bags. The ship relocated to the city pier during the wee hours of the morning. In the morning, we said farewell to our Viking family, and we were transferred to Ushuaia Airport for our outbound flights. Most passengers had a very long layover in Buenos Aires, but Viking had reserved a large section in the Hard Rock Cafe at the airport for Viking passengers to rest, have a meal, and relax. So, Antarctica is breathtakingly beautiful, wild, and as remote as you can get. Viking certainly makes it possible to experience Antarctica in comfort. This was a once-in-a-lifetime, unforgettable experience. We're glad that you could join us. Until next time, this is Would-Be Ben saying bye-bye.